pioneers. Introducing the Kia Forte, the first of its kind.
Acclaimed actor Kevin Bacon had already been working over a decade in film, but everything changed for him while working on Oliver Stone's 1991 film, JFK. In fact, the shoot for him only lasted 4 days, but it set his career in a whole new direction. So what was it about those 4 days that really changed everything for you?
I think I was at a point where my wheels were kind of spinning. I was still able to get some work, but nothing was really working. I had done a whole bunch of movies that hadn't really performed. And I was working with an agent at the time named Paula Wagner, and she said to me, you know, I remember seeing you in Slab Boys back doing theater, and I remember some of the other stuff that you did off Broadway. And you really were a character actor, you know. You really played strong characters. And I think we need to find that, again, something that's really, really, really super edgy, and something that you can go in and, you know, just kind of surprise people with. And rarely have I actually been given some kind of piece of advice and have it turn into anything that is actually real. But that afternoon, after having this conversation with her, I went over and sat down with Oliver Stone, and he said, you know, I got this part, and he said, you know, can you be transformational with it? Mm-hmm. I would never forget it. And I said, yeah, I will be transformational with it. And it really opened up a lot of stuff for me. And it also opened up things just personally, because all of a sudden I went, okay, this is what I really want to do. I want to play different parts. That's why I became an actor. Mm-hmm. And let's forget the money. Let's forget the size of the role. Let's forget the size of the budget of the movie. Let's just go with the parts. Just go where the parts are, and that'll work in the long run.
Yeah, and speaking of parts in movies, boy, I mean, talk about setting yourself in grueling environments. Like, for example, you've got, you know, the River Wild and The Woodsman and Murder in the First, where not only, you know, physically you're putting yourself through hell, basically, but emotionally with the character. You know, and I even read that you said that there were no good days in some of that.
Right.
So what were some of the hardest films of that?
Well, certainly Murder in the First was very difficult. You know, I was really, really thin, for one thing, and had to kind of stay very thin. Mm-hmm. And
you had no clothes.
I had no clothes on for a lot of it. We had gone.
I remember that.
We'd gone. So do I. You know,
I bet.
We'd gone through the Northridge earthquake, mm-hmm. and the set fell apart, and all the lights came crashing down, and luckily nobody was badly hurt. And it was one of those terrifying nights of my life. And we started shooting again, and because the set was ruined, the only set that remained was this little set for a dungeon. And most of that time, I was naked and covered in dirt and live bugs and shackled. And then there were thousands of aftershocks after the Northridge quake.
Yeah, yeah.
So my headspace, to say the least, got a little dark, because there'd start to be you know, I'd be cold anyway, naked and shackled, and, you know, with the bugs, and then there would be like an earthquake.
A real earthquake happening. Yeah.
So I was in a bad headspace.
Yeah, I bet. Is it safe to say that in your search for a character, you're looking more or less for the yin and yang of the human condition?
Yeah, I think that's safe. I think that whenever I choose a character who has a lot of darkness in his soul, that I want to find the things that are somehow appealing, or at the very least human about that person. And conversely, I believe that all of us, whether it's, you know, Mr. Nice Guy, you know, which a lot of people think, you know, I'm like Mr. Nice Guy. Yeah. I think we all have a lot of, you know, stuff going on, internal, you know, anger, fear, pain that's kind of like bubbling there. And in those sort of characters who are a little bit more well-adjusted, I want to find what's a little bit off about that. So yes, there is a lot of yin-yang.
And of all the characters you've played so many of them. Is there still a character type that you haven't yet gotten a chance to play?
It'd be fun for me to play somebody who is more out there, a little bit more demonstrative, you know, a little bit more kind of just crazy. I'd like to do something that's just a little wacky.
What about like a Western? You know, I could see what you have.
Yeah, I begged Clint when we were doing Mystic River. I said, can you take all these guys, all of us, and just we'll just shoot a Western now
Yeah.
with this group, because everything was working so good. It was feeling so right. Such great actors, a great script, great director, great cameraman. Let's just go and make a Western. It's like, okay. Yeah.
Let me think about that. I know you've wanted to work with him for a while, so when he did give you the call from Mystic River, what was your reaction?
Oh man, it's great. It's fantastic. One of my agents said, you really need to. He's directing now, and there's no part for you in this movie he's directing now, but we hear that maybe he's going to go and do this book called Mystic River, and we hear that there's probably going to be a few parts. So it really would be a deal for you to meet him, and he's going to be in Deauville the same time you are. It was either Deauville or Cannes, I can't remember which. And I was having a screening of Harlem, and so they said he's going to be at this dinner with James Garner and Tommy Lee Jones, and Clint's going to be there, and go over to that dinner and introduce yourself. I was like, okay, how do I get there? They said, well, you're going to come into the screening and you wave, and then the lights are going to go down, and you're going to run out and jump in this car, and we're going to get you there, because you have to be back to the screening for when the lights come back up.
Yeah.
So literally, I went down, jumped into this car with the driver. We're screaming around the hills of Deauville, trying to find this restaurant that's way the hell out in the middle of nowhere. Come in. How you doing? Nice to meet you. Nice, Donald Sutherland. Nice to meet you, Clint.
Wow.
Very nice to meet you. Oh, yeah, I'm a big fan. Boy, just so much. Love to work with you someday. Yep, gotta go. Back in the car. Literally pull up. Lights come up. Oh, yes, I hope you enjoyed the movie.
When we come back, Kevin Bacon is joined by his brother and bandmate Michael Bacon, and we'll hear new music from the Bacon Brothers right here on A&E's Private Sessions. Don't go anywhere. You do not want to miss this.